Hello everyone, welcome back. We're still going through our perspective drawing series and with a focus on 2-point perspective. The last video we talked about, or I got into 2-point perspective distortion, or how distortion takes place in 2-point perspective. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've been experimenting with that and playing around with it and seeing what you can do with that. Again, leave some comments and let me know how working with that is going for you. Okay, so in this video we are going to get into perspective grids. Okay, so right off the bat, the first thing I want to sort of illustrate real quick is let's say you have a line like that, right? Just an arbitrary line. I'm not going to take any measurement, so it's from, say, here to here. Okay, and you don't know the length of this line. You want to subdivide this line, and maybe for whatever reason you want to be kind of quick about it. You don't feel like doing any math in your head or whatever. Here's a quick way to subdivide a line. You don't know the length of this line. And maybe maybe you measure it and the measurement is kind of off. It's like 3 inches and 2 3/4 inches or something like that, and you don't feel like doing the subdivision. You want to divide it into like 5 different subdivisions. Here's what you do. So you approach the line. It could be vertical, it could be horizontal, and you come to one end of it and just draw a line at any angle. But the line you draw has to be shorter than this actual line. So I'll take the green pen here and just draw a line, and let me, just to make sure that it's shorter, I will mark this as the end. So let's forget about this part. Mark this as the end, or measure it out. That's what I should have done. So let's make it 3 inches, like that. So let's get rid of all that. 3 inches from this point to this point right here. Okay, and I'm gonna just go ahead and subdivide that equally. By 1/2 inch, which gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divisions. So once you've done that, go back to this line at this point at the end and connect this point to the end of this line, like this. Make sure it connects properly. Okay. Let's see. All right, and then once you've done that, let's see, there we go. Yeah. Once you've done that, set up your triangle, your ruler, or whatever other tool you've got, and make sure that you line it up with that new green line, and then every line from every subdivision that goes to this line absolutely has to be parallel to this first line. Like that. This is a pretty quick technique. I'm doing it a little, sort of taking my time here. Oops. If you go off, you can just go back and line yourself up again. My ruler just slipped. So that's a quick way of just getting this particular line subdivided. Okay, that's a quick way of doing it when you don't know the length of this line. So take note of that. Come back and watch this part if you need to. We are going to make use of this later. Okay, so still roughly interesting. Still working kind of roughly here. The setup that we're going to go for with our grid is, okay, I go ahead and I'm going to make this kind of small, this example kind of small. Here's our first vanishing point, and here's our second vanishing point. Okay, and so what I want to do is set up like a corner wall, so to speak. So something like that. And in this particular case, I mean, you can set it up any way you want, this vertical any way you want, but for this example, I'm going to keep the length between the bottom here and the horizon line, and then from the horizon line to the top, this will be shorter than this top line, so this will be higher up here. Okay, so that's what I've got going on. And what you want to do is strike a line straight through the top and bottom from your vanishing points, from both vanishing points. Okay, so you'll get that radiating line going that way, and these sets of radiating lines going the other way. Okay, and what you have in essence is a corner wall right here. Might as well use, so you have, I'm going to darken it so to make it really clear. So you have this corner wall, or this corner rather, and then you have this back wall. So, and then you have this side wall. So corner, side wall, side facing wall, and then this is your, say, your back wall, or the wall on the other side. Okay, so what you have in essence here is this wall, but and yes, it looks like we're just drawing a room. It's not a room. We're just using this as a model, just as a basis to help us establish our grid. A few things to keep in mind. Thinking of it as a simple room or corner of a room can help you just remember how to get back into constructing this. So that's a good thing. Don't be super rigid about it, because just remember that this wall is very flexible. Imagine that these parts here are on rolling tracks such that you can push this wall as far back as you need to get whatever you want. And the same thing with this wall. You can push this as far back as you need to. So you can probably, let's say we go all the way back here, then we'll get something like that. So if you need to create more space or whatever, you absolutely have the flexibility to do that. Whoops, that didn't take for some reason. Absolutely have the flexibility to do that. Same thing here. Okay, so let me just do a quick example here. I might have to erase it so I don't create any confusion for anybody. I don't want this getting confusing. So let's say you decide that you want, that wall to go that far back. Okay, so you have your wall, and the wall can go further back. Okay, or you can push this wall further back to get that wall. Okay, so remember that. All right, so just keep that in mind. Yeah. All right, so I've gone ahead and made a few copies. I've drawn out and copied a few of these so that we can get started on we can get going on the concept here, and I can show you a few different ways of laying out your grid. All right, so okay, so let's say we have, one thing you can do is mark the end of your wall. Here's the VP1 here, and then there's VP1, VP2 right here, vanishing point 2, vanishing point 2 right here, and vanishing point 1 right here, okay? So let's say we want the end of this wall to be here, okay? And this is an arbitrary ending. It doesn't have to be like the absolute end of the wall. So this can be very arbitrary, but for the purposes of this example, we're gonna make this the end of this wall, and we're gonna make this part the end of this wall right here, okay? So going back to some of the examples I gave when we were talking about circles in perspective and curves in perspective, ellipses and whatnot, breaking up your rectangle, that's what you want to do here, okay? So, or finding the center of your rectangle, that's what you want to do here. So basically what you're going to do is, let me use the green again. All right, you want to go from one corner to the opposite corner and create that X. Do this in a way that I can see it. Create that X. That gives you the center of the wall. Okay, so I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here. I'm feeling myself, giving myself some pressure to hurry up, but I'm going to go into a little bit of detail, so this video might be a little longer than I'd like. So feel free to take breaks as needed if you want to. Okay. So once you get that, go ahead and draw a vertical line straight through that center. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this wall. Like so. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get the vertical line going through the center of that wall. Okay, so, and for this, I'm assuming that we want to subdivide the wall equally, okay? So that's what I'm going for here. If you want to, if later on as you experiment with this, you want to just try like asymmetrical subdivisions or whatever, or unequal subdivisions, you can feel free to try that, work that out. If you like doing that, hey, that's, you know, you can do that too, and it's nothing saying that you can't do that. There's no rule saying that you can't do that. All right, so we've got the two walls split in half, and what we want is to get multiple equal subdivisions like that. But we want it to be, we definitely want it to be equal. All right, so what do we do next? Well, we subdivide it again in the exact same way. So just find the center of that. And I'm just going to eyeball this right here because I trust my eyes. I trust my eyeballing skills. There we go. And the same thing over here. Paying attention to where my lines are. All you have to do is just follow the line to whatever corner, and it'll tell you which one you're working with. There's my subdivision. I'll eyeball that. Get that middle point. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to subdivide that further. So this is the middle right here, and I've got 2 subdivisions. Middle here, 2 subdivisions. I want to further subdivide each one. So I'll go here and do the exact same thing. I'll mark that. I'll go here and do that. Pretty much repeat the process. Rinse and repeat. And that gives me that. Let me bring this up a little bit. Like so. And like so. There we go. And then I'll do the same thing over here. Just a quick tip, you guys are noticing it already. As soon as I get that center, I mark it. I don't like wait to come back to it later, because just on the off chance that I get a little confused by that, and then I come back here because I've marked each one accordingly in a way that I can read it and see it. I come back here and just rule in my verticals. Okay, I'm just doing it quickly, so it might be a little rough. And I'm eyeballing it, so it might be a little slightly off here and there. Okay, so there's my wall subdivided. I'm gonna just come here and darken the line, put a dark pencil line over it so that you can see it clearly and tell the difference between the finalized line and the construction line. Okay, and then because you're getting the effect of perspective, it's going to widen and widen, but according to the construction, these are equally apart. So if we laid this out flat and you're looking at it head on, it would all be equal divisions, okay? But when you spread it out using perspective, this is the kind of breakdown you get, all right? And then if you want to subdivide it even further, you can do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing over here. I'm gonna just do that real quick so that we can just get a full picture. And you know what, let me use a different color for that. Let me use blue, so that when you guys are looking at it, you can see the difference. I'm gonna just do that real quick. I'm gonna eyeball that. I need to clean up my tabletop, it's getting cluttered. It's good that you guys can't see it. Let's keep it that way. pencil and go ahead and put in those vertical subdivisions. Whoops, that's at a weird angle. Okay, so there you have it. So vertically, your wall, these two walls are subdivided. That's one way of doing it, okay? So let me set this aside for a second. So that's one way of doing it. I'm gonna go through a few different methods and maybe arrive at the one that's sort of like my favorite. You are free to work out whichever one appeals to you best.